So the FedNow has finally arrived, and there's a lot of fears about this being the first step before we implement a CBDC, which a lot of people are scared of. So we want to address all these rumors right now and tell you the pros and the cons of FedNow. What does it really mean for this country? Because it might be the start of a new financial system. So let's get right into this, bro.
Yeah, so let's share our screen with you guys and tell you guys what FedNow is if you guys don't know. Before we get started, please make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for us because it does help us out a lot. But with that being said, let's just dive right in. It says the Federal Reserve announces that its new system for instant payments, the FedNow service, is now live. So it started in July. It actually started last week, I believe, on Thursday. So for those who don't know, think about FedNow as literally just a processing tool where you're able to get instant payments, and it's ran by the Federal Reserve itself. So that's what it says right here. And this is the official site of the Federal Reserve for FedNow. So we're going to drop that link for you in the description below so you can check out a lot of different links. You can check out any upcoming news they have, and you can keep up to date with what banks are involved because, well, as we know, at the end of the day, all the money is in the banks, right?
Most definitely.
So they need to be actually messing with FedNow. Just because FedNow got launched, it doesn't mean that you have all the right to all the banks right away. They have to also say, yes, we want to take part in this. So you have early adopters. There's 35 banks who have already signed up. Some of those banks include JP Morgan. Some of them are like Wells Fargo. You have BNY Mellon. They're all listed for you right here. What you guys might find interesting though is I don't see Bank of America on here. And what's the other one? I think Citibank is also not on here.
Yep, exactly.
So two pretty large banks are not on here. And it's like, is that going to happen? Is that not going to happen? We have to take very, very key notice to this because at the end of the day, FedNow is taking part in different phases. This is just phase one. It's not that it's all of a sudden done and it's good to go. It's different phases that we have to take care of.
Yeah, and I do think that eventually other banks will opt into FedNow service like Citigroup and Bank of America. I don't think they'll stay out of it. I think that maybe they're just taking a stance to say, you know what, let's see how it goes first before we just hop all into this.
Exactly. And the reason why I'm actually bringing this up, just to make it very clear for you guys, is that now, it says right here, right? This allows financial institutions of every size across the United States to provide safe and efficient instant payments. So let's just talk about what instant payments is, because I think you guys might be thinking like Venmo is instant or like Cash App is instant. Those are not instant payments. Think of Zelle as an instant payment. It goes directly from one bank to another. That's what FedNow is essentially going to be. So, Rel, do you want to cover like few examples, I guess, that you could think of really quick that FedNow is going to be helpful for / like maybe even not helpful for?
Yeah, so kind of actually like wrote a few down. Like first thing I have down here, for example, is paying bills online, right? So when you have to pay your bills online and you have the due date, sometimes you have to pay kind of a little bit ahead of the due date because there's a settlement time period that they need to account for. And they'll say like, all right, if it's due on the 15th, you make sure you initiate the payment by the 14th. That's no longer a thing because now things are instant. And that's one way that FedNow the instant settlement is a benefit. Another way, you can get paid immediately. So at our jobs, you know, you might say, hey, at the end of the pay period from the 25th to whatever, you don't get paid immediately. There's a waiting time between the end of the pay period to your check. Now you can actually get paid right at the end of your pay period using this system. Refunds on your card as well. Some of y'all want to get refunds from Amazon and different sites, and it takes a while. You got to always kind of check on it. Now refunds will be immediately. Why immediate? Why? Because of the instant settlement. On top of that, small businesses, they also get paid immediately. So the key word here is immediately, instant. Anything that always took a lag between settlements is now rectified. We now have instant settlement. That is the main key. So any examples anybody else could think of, yeah, it's real. Now things are instant, and there are some cons, and you know we could always get into the cons because I would definitely want to speak on those too.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like right now, if you guys are thinking like, oh, that sounds great, like we're good to go, right? Instant payments is always a good thing. Yes, it is. And I just want to point out, like you brought up businesses. There's actually an article that said 45% of the calls that Walmart is getting is about refunds. So their customers are calling in all the time saying, hey, I would like a refund, I would like a refund, I would like a refund. And it takes a while to refund to go through. They always say, oh, it will show up on your card, or it will go back on your card within 5 days, within 3-4 days, whatever it may be. That's not a thing anymore. It's right away. Now, it could be a con in the sense that if you think about it, think about sending crypto, right? Like, you guys ever done that before? I know I've gone through pain where like I send over crypto to a certain address or a certain wallet and it's gone. I can't get it back if I send it to a wrong address. It's instantly not available. The same thing applies here. So now if I was to sell, a certain product to someone and I'm collecting money, but they sent to the wrong address or they sent to a wrong location or wherever it may be, I don't get that money. It's instantly gone. A theft, for example, that occurs, like they stole your stuff, it's kind of gone right away. So those could be some cons, because since it happens immediately, it's not like you had that protection program to help you out. That could be a con that you look at. So I'm not sure how that could go, but it's going to have to be something that people have to pay very close attention to.
Yeah, and right there, like you said, now that makes these banks have to do what? Invest in more cybersecurity. So first of all, on the stock side, maybe I want to look into cybersecurity companies that will be involved in working with these banks, because you might want to get bullish on them, because they're going to have a big part now, because these banks have to protect themselves from fraud risk. And us as consumers, we need to be a little concerned, because if banks are going to be increasing the investment on cybersecurity, guess who that falls on? Consumers. So they might do it in the form of bank fees and things like that. We need to start watching out for, because they're not going to eat that cost. They're going to always pass it down. So you definitely want to watch out for that.
Yeah, that's a great point, honestly. I think this is another great article we want to share with you guys. Once again, the link will be in the description below, so make sure you guys check it out. If you're still watching, please hit that subscribe button, because it does help us out, and like the video right now. But shout out to Rachel, because this is a great article, because it's basically highlighting what FedNow is not. And there's a lot of rumors about what it is. So we really took a deep dive into the article. We're not going to go over what FedNow is. We already talked about that. But will it be replacing cash? I know a lot of people are talking about that. As you see here, a lot of claims on YouTube, TikTok. You're watching this on YouTube right now, or you're listening on the podcast. You guys might have heard different people talk about, oh, it's replacing cash. It's actually not as of right now. That's not what they're doing, right? They're not trying to replace a dollar or digital currency for that matter. Think of this as a platform that will transfer your dollar online the same way other services do this. Like, for example, Zelle, Cash App, Venmo. Just the only thing is, this is instant right away. The other thing to point out is the whole CBDC play, right? So when you think about it, a lot of people were not liking CBDC. We had a whole video on what central bank digital currency, CBDC, actually is and what this means. Well, what's your take on this? Like, do you think FedNow is created to basically take over and become the whole part of CBDC? Like, how do you think that's going to go?
I think it's definitely a step towards that direction. Now, it's not that right now, and they'll probably try to make it seem like it's not going there. But
yeah, they said that.
Going. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But it's going there. The other countries, we have places like England and China, India, they're already in that direction. We're not going to be left behind over here in America. They're moving there. And, people don't like CBDCs, because at the end of the day, that gives the government power to now tell you when to spend your money, how to spend your money. You have no privacy anymore, especially if it does replace cash. Now everything is seen by them. They can do things like place expiration dates on the money to enhance or to influence inflation. Say, you have to spend it by this date. That's so, I mean, people, that's not really a good thing. And I think this is step one towards that direction.
Yeah, I actually agree with this, because I think one of the biggest things is, I always said this earlier, and a lot of people, I'm not the only one who said it, is essentially, if you think about it, who helps the Fed decide? Does a regular consumer help the Fed decide when to increase interest rates, how much to increase interest rates by? Like, they go in there and decide it, right? Like, who lets the Fed know, you know what, I feel like making $1 trillion come out of nowhere today. Let's click that button, let's make $1 trillion. That's just not true. You know what I mean? Like, they go and do their own thing. So with this, it's kind of like, all right, I'm gonna roll this out. I'm going to see how the consumer behaves. I'm going to understand all the data behind it. And not saying they couldn't do that earlier, but now they have everything going to them. So this Fed Reserve making FedNow is basically saying that, not only do we print money, not only do we make the interest rates, not only do we control inflation, and not only are we the biggest country in the world controlling all the money power and circulation, but we're going to do all of this and then possibly, wink, wink, air quotes, move on to CBDC, but it's not there yet, so don't worry about it. I think that's what they're essentially saying.
And plus, like, the reason why people think it's a step in that direction too, on top of what you're saying, is like, all right, FedNow is kind of for inside of our country. That's for transactions inside of America. But in order to get this same type of instant payment processing going on, you would have to now have a CBDC so you could interact globally now.
Yep, exactly.
You know what I mean? So it doesn't, they're not going to just do it here and not try to do it globally. That's how I feel.
Yeah, I 100% agree. The other piece I really liked about this article is essentially talking about, is it replacing apps like Venmo and Cash App? It's saying no. The Fed has made it very clear that FedNow is not intended to kill or replace those apps. Instead, it's actually intended to work alongside those apps. Personally, once again, I disagree. I just don't see how this could be a thing. I like that article is saying that because it's talking about current day, right now, what the Fed is saying. Will this continue? I don't see that. Like, being a business owner myself, I see a lot of people actually using Zelle rather than using Cash App and PayPal and Venmo like they used to, because that was the only source. Zelle made it very easy for money to be transferred, just how FedNow will do it. So that's my take on that.
And to add on to that, just kind of going into credit card companies too, something that we should look out for, just kind of on that topic. That's not really that's kind of bearish when it comes to credit card companies right there, because FedNow is competition to them. Because if you're a business, why even deal with credit cards and having to deal with the processing fees and the settlements when you can just like direct instant payment? Man, that's not looking too good for credit card companies. So I'll watch out for that.
I actually saw on the FedNow actual website, which I'm waiting for them to speak on more, there is a section for fees, and the fees seem to be very minimal. I think it's like $25 a month or something of that sort, depending on like how big of the business you are. So definitely let's just keep our eye on that, because it will be very crucial to see how is the Fed doing all this, and like, do they intend on making fees? So it's going to be interesting. We don't know. Make sure you check that out. But bro, do you have any final words on this?
Nah, I would say just keep your eye on them, because they move in silence and things get implemented. Nobody even sees it coming. Just keep your eyes out.
That's a fact. But if you enjoyed this video, let us know what you think about FedNow. If you're still watching, thank you. We appreciate you. Please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Plus, hit that little notification bell, because we drop
2 videos a week.
And you don't want to miss them. We dropped a fire video on Monday talking about if you should be getting an FA right now or not. What are our honest thoughts? So make sure you check that out, because this economy is crazy. But we will check you out on next Monday. Until then, peace.
Peace.
Soundstripe.